Hi guys, my name is Ram and today we'll be learning about Excel, Microsoft Excel to be specific, right? So I know a lot of you guys are very interested to watch this and learn a lot of interesting things about Excel, right? So we will be doing exactly that, and we're going to make this a very interactive session so that we have a communication and there's no gap between you and me, okay? And if there is any sort of mic issue, video issue, or if you can't see me or anything, let's try to resolve that in the starting of the session. So go ahead and leave me a confirmation in the chat if everything is perfect. If everything is perfect, go ahead and say a yes. And if you think there's something wrong, do let me know what that thing is wrong. Okay. Now, with that out of the way, I want to show you guys something. Okay, now while you guys are giving me that confirmation, I just wanted to tell you guys about a Great Learning Academy, right? So that's an beautiful thing that we have come up with. It's basically a place where you guys can go and get a free certificate for yourself. Now, this place offers a lot of different opportunities for you, right? So if you want to follow a certain career, then you can go ahead and check out the different career paths that we have provided, in which you can understand what you have to do in that career path, you have what you have to learn in that career path, and to start that career path. So once you visit our website, or you can go ahead and download our apps and you access it through mobile, you can go ahead and click on select career path. What it's going to do is it's going to take you down and it's going to show you all the career paths that we have available over here, right? So you can choose whatever career path you want. So let's say that you are watching Excel, so you want to be a data scientist, which isn't exactly definite answer, but you might want to be a data scientist, right? So you click on the data scientist career path, and once you click on it, right, you'll see that you have a lot of different options over here. You'll be talking about what kind of average salary and how many jobs there may be, and all the different information that you will require to start your career basically, right? And if you keep on scrolling down, you're going to see testimonies of what people are saying, and you're going to see all the free courses that are available. Now, this is something that I want to concentrate a lot on, the free courses, right? These courses are completely free and you don't have to pay a single dime on these things, right? Even a single paisa. So they're completely free. All you have to do is just go and watch them, register and learn, right? And there's everything a data scientist would need, data visualization, advanced statistics, probability, data visualization, Python fundamentals, and deep learning, reinforcement, case studies, and etc. And then there are optional ones that you can learn on the side, and in those also you have a lot more courses. So I would highly recommend you guys checking out these courses because they're completely free and they're going to be really awesome for you, and you get a certificate also for each course you complete. So there you have it. Go ahead and check out Great Learning Academy, and if you want, you can just check out the individual courses on the main page itself. Okay, now let me just go ahead and close this so we can come back and we can start talking about Excel again. So I'll also open up the chat on the side, so I know that you guys are listening and you guys have given me a go ahead, otherwise I will not be continuing the session. So let's open up Great Learning. Yep, my live session here. All right, so let's see who all are there. So we have a lot of people here today. We have Om, Mehul, Jayant, we have Hindi Tech Tube, we have Neelam, we have Anirban. Yep. So people are saying it's perfect. So your pick, okay. So King Singh is saying your pick is not coming when it's not complete. Your thumbnail, your voice is disconnected, voice is breaking. Okay, so guys, please let me know if the voice is still breaking, because I would not want that to happen. Okay, so now let us start this session, right? So what is Excel? Now there's something there's something really interesting about Excel, right? It's a very universal tool. You might think that Excel is only used for data scientists or people who are doing data related business analytics sort of stuff. That is not true. Almost everyone makes use of Excel, right? Every career, whether you are a software developer, whether you're a data scientist, whether you are a teacher, whether you're a mechanical engineer, whether you're a project manager, whether you are a subject matter expert like me, or whether you are in any sort of role, a user experience designer, a interface designer, a graphic designer, a person who does photography. Basically, everyone makes use of Excel. Go ahead, name a position, and I can tell you how they can start using Excel to make their lives much more easier. So Excel is just really cool because it has so many different, uses, and mostly what it is used for is, data collect, basically tabulating data and then analyzing that data. Now this is something that feels like something you would do as an analyst, but that's not true. You would do this even as a teacher, right? So let's say you want to calculate the marks, right, of all of your students. You need to calculate the averages and all of those things. So it would be much easier to do it with an Excel sheet than to do it by hand, because you have all the formulas just available on your fingertips. It just makes it so easy, and we will see why it makes it so easy, right? So I'm going to be taking two examples to explain to you how we work with Excel. So one of those examples is a classroom situation, and another one is a retail shop situation, right? So before we do begin those situations, let me go through the basics of Excel, explain everything to you. While I'm doing all of this, I want something from you guys. The first thing I want from you guys is to go ahead and like this session, because that really helps us out, and it shows all the love you guys have. And if you are waiting for the session to complete to see whether I'm worthy of this like or not, that's totally fine. That's up to you. And the second thing I want to know from you guys is, what kind of profession do you come from? That is something very important I want to know. Just go ahead in the chat, let me know what kind of profession you guys have a background in, or what kind of work are you doing right now, because that will really give me a good idea, because there are around 100 people watching this session and I want to know what you guys do, right? Because that will be something awesome, and I want to relate to that when I'm giving you guys examples. Okay, so now I am going to tell you how to download Excel. Now, in a lot of your computers, you will already have Excel. If you guys don't have Excel, what you can do is just go to Google and type in Microsoft Excel. Now, Excel is a part of the Office suite, right? It's basically a lot of different tools that Microsoft Office offers, and it's a paid software. Like, you have to pay for it, but if you want to use it for free, you can do so by going online and doing it. You can use Microsoft Excel online, that is free. But if you want to download it, you can download it, but have to pay for it. Now, generally, if you guys don't have Microsoft Office, what I would recommend is, if you're working somewhere, ask them for a key, or ask your administrator, or your office administrator, or your IT administrator for Office for in your system. And if you're not a working person, and if you're studying, or if you're in a school or a college, you have options there also. Your school has probably bought the software for everyone, and you just need to ask them for the key. Okay, so it's very easy, and almost everyone can get it. And if you're unemployed and you're not in school also, that's totally fine. What you need to do is just start using Microsoft Excel online, right? That's pretty easy. Now, once you type Microsoft Excel, the first link you get, download Excel, you can go ahead and try it for free, or you can go ahead and buy it. Good. And if you have the money, you can always buy it, right? All right. So this is Microsoft Excel. This is how you download it. Now, once you've downloaded it, it will be in your system. How can you access it? Just go to your start, press on it, and type in Excel. And I have Excel 2016, which is not a problem. I'm just going to go ahead and click on it and enter. Even if you have Excel 2003, right, that is okay, dude. There's not a lot of changes that are going to be made, at least in the fundamentals. Maybe in advanced, a lot of changes, but you guys don't have to worry about those changes, right? And Excel is just a wonderful tool. It does so many things, right? So first, this is what I get, right? And there are a lot of options for us to create. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to click on the blank of workbook, because that's what I want to show you guys. That's what your basic Excel is. Here we have, let me just go ahead and close this. We don't need it. And Chrome eats up a lot of RAM. Cool. So over here, you guys can see that this is our basic workbook in Excel. So I'm going to explain to you what a workbook is. A workbook is like a notebook in real life. It has many pages and you can work on those pages, right? So like you write your notes on your notebook and you do math calculations on your notebook on different pages. Even on your workbook in Excel, you have multiple sheets which acts as pages. So you can have sheet 1, you can have sheet 2, you can have sheet 3, you can have sheet 4, right? So these sheets are part of one workbook. Now the name of that workbook is book 1 right now. We can go ahead and change this. So let's say that I want to go ahead and save it. So I'm going to click on save as. I'm going to click on browse. I should have just clicked on desktop, but I did click on browse. So we'll just wait for it. Yeah, so I'm just going to go to desktop and I'm going to name this as practice workbook. And you will see in the save type, it is going to be saved as Excel workbook. If you want, you can go ahead and save it as PDF or CSV or any type of data that you guys want. Okay, so this is how you would, choose the type. So I'm just going to let it be Excel workbook itself. And then I'm going to click on save. Right, so now it's saved and you can see that the name has changed from book 1 to practice workbook. Great. So we have the knowledge of what a workbook is and what sheets are. Sheets are basically, the places where you can work. So this is a practice workbook and you can even name the sheets. So let's say that I want to name this as classroom stats. Okay. And I'm going to name this retail stats. Okay. So these are for the 2 scenarios that we're going to do. And, you can always pull them also and choose which sheet you want in front. Cool. So let me name this one as practice and I'm going to go ahead and delete this sheet. So I'm just going to click on right click and then click on delete. Great. So now we know what a sheet is. Now, what are these blocks within this sheet? So each block over here is called a cell. A cell is a place where you can enter values. I can enter 11 over here. I can enter high over here. I can enter my name Ram over here. I can enter $12 over here. So there are a lot of different things that I can do in these cells. I can enter values and then I can use these values for my logical purpose. So if I wanted to calculate something, then I can go ahead and do that. So if let's say I put 11 over here and I put 33 over here. And over here, I wrote sum, I added D3 plus I added E3, yeah? And I get the sum of them, that's 44, right? So it's as simple as that. You just use these cells to enter values and create something logical out of it, right? So this is what a cell is. And you will get a clearer idea once you start using these, okay? So it's like a big table and you can enter values in those tables. Okay. Oh, and for those people who want to use Excel but don't have the means to use Excel offline, you can always use Google Sheets also. Google Sheets is a good alternative. It's online and it saves your work pretty easily, so you'll never lose it. It's always in the Google Cloud. So go ahead and check that out. That's a pretty good software too. I use Google Sheets pretty regularly and even more than Excel sometimes. Cool. So that is what a cell is. Now let us go ahead and check out these things. So these things are called ribbons. File here is a ribbon. Home here is a ribbon. Insert here is a ribbon. Page layout, formulas, data, review, and view. Now, what do these ribbons do? And you guys might know this already because this is kind of obvious data. Ribbons are basically, the functionality. They give you the functionality of your Excel. So in home, you have all the quick to use things, like if you want to cut something, if you want to copy something, if you want to copy the format of certain cells into another cell. So you can use the format painter over here. You can choose the font type, font size, color, cell color, everything over here, right? So you can merge, you can align your text over here. You can go ahead and change the formatting of your text. So let's say I put 12 over here and I want it to be dollars, right? So I'm just going to click on this cell and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to choose the type of number I have. So I want it to be currency. So I have chosen it to be $12 and it's automatically identify it as such. And then we have conditional formatting, right? So it will highlight certain stuff based on certain conditions. So you have highlight cell rules. So if it's greater than a certain value, everything will be highlighted, right? Okay, so we will go through all of that later. For now, just understand this is all the quick to use things. In insert, you can insert a lot of different things. Like if you want to add pivot tables, if you just want to add normal tables, you can mention there is a data table. Okay, so it will create a table over here, right? And you have all the other insert things, like you want to add graphs or anything sort of thing, you can do that over here. And you can add text boxes, header and footers if you want to beautify it. And because if you're going to do a showcase in the page layout, you can go ahead and change the page layout. You can add margins, and you can add themes also. Formulas is where the core of Excel comes in, where you're using all the different formulas that are available. Like you have financial formulas, you have logical formulas, you have text based, and you have date and time, lookup and reference. This is for searching between data. If you have a lot of data, we don't have any data over here, but if you have a lot of data, you want to search that data, you want to look it up, then you can go ahead and do that. You have math and trigonometry also. And then you have a lot more things to work with. Like over here in data, right? You are basically doing a lookup, you're doing analysis, and you are basically querying the data you have, right? And in review, you have just commenting and speaking stuff and checking the spellings and all those kind of things. And view, you're basically again viewing the whole thing. Okay, so these aren't as important as these, right? The first 5 ribbons, I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or the first 6 ribbons, because you're going to be using those a lot more. Okay, so with that out of the way, we know the basics of what Excel is. Okay, cool. So we now know what basics of Excel are. The like basics as in understanding what the whole thing is. Now we'll actually start working with it. Cool. But before we do that, I would just want to see what you guys have said in the chat, because I asked you one thing. All right. So we have Mehul Patel asking, I want to learn data science and I don't know about coding. How to learn coding? A good way to do that, Mehul, would be going ahead and checking out any of our Python tutorials. So Bharni Akela has done an amazing job teaching Python in Hindi as well as in English. You can just go ahead and type Great Learning Python, and you're going to find the courses that he's made. If you want, just visit Great Learning Academy, and you can even get a certificate while you're learning it, right after you're done learning it. So I would recommend you start from Python. King Singh is basically saying thank you. No, you're welcome. We do love doing these sessions. RS is saying, I have completed MBA Finance. Please suggest me courses which will help me build my career apart from Excel and Tally. Well, you've done MBA Finance. Now, I don't know what kind of career specific path you want to take, but what I can recommend is doing all the business and using business analytic tools. So go ahead and learn how to use Tableau or Power BI. We have courses for those. You can go ahead and check them out on Great Learning Academy. So now we are getting the background stuff. Saditya says that he is MBA Finance. We have Samiullah Makanda saying he's customer service, US MTG operations. We have Vital saying he's an engineering student. We have Alok saying he's an electrical engineer. We have Yavar saying he's a CS student. There's someone in insurance sector. Okay, so see, these kind of all of these fields, right? Even as students, you guys will be using Excel to the core, especially people the person who's working in insurance, Sagar, you'll be using it a lot. So Pallavi is asking about what was the agenda. So I told you I'll be going through the basics of Excel fundamentals, and I will be going through 2 scenarios that will help you guys understand how you can start using Excel immediately, right? Okay. So this thing voice is breaking. So the voice issue is still there. All right, so let me just fix this voice issue. Hello, testing. I hope it's a little better for you guys now. If not, let me try and fix this. All right. Okay. So I didn't make any changes, but I hope you guys can hear me better right now. And we have King Singh saying that he's a student of class 12th. So someone, we have BCA first year also, and we have BE computer. Okay. So we have a lot of people who are students right now over here watching the session. Bhavik is saying, sir, I want to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Please go ahead and check out our Great Learn Academy. We have courses specifically for those. So you can learn them and as well as earn a certificate. Okay. So right. So you guys have told me all of your backgrounds, right? You guys are students. You're doing bachelor's in electrical, bachelor's in computer science, and you're working in the insurance sector. You're working as a customer support person, right? So what will Excel do for you? Excel will help you organize yourself. You can not only use Excel for formulations and tabulations and all. You can even use it as a timesheet of doing stuff. You can just use it for logging, right? Just do write down what you're doing. So we'll look at it. Let me start off with our classroom stats sheet. This is where I will start, basically telling you guys how to use it. So let's assume that both of us are a teacher and we want to tabulate and formulate all of the different variations we can on our students marks that they've obtained in 3 subjects. Okay, so I'm going to pick out 3 names from the chat and we'll use those names as student names. All right, so Vivek is saying sorry for being late. It's totally fine, dude. It's going to be uploaded as a video later, so you can watch it later. Don't worry about that. Okay, cool. We have Mohammed saying pursuing BBA. Can you suggest me a better career after that? What I can, I'm not a certified counselor for that purpose. What I would do is, stick till the end of the session, then we'll get to these career kind of questions because I don't want to delay on this any further. So in classroom stats, the first thing I'm going to write is name of the students. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and expand this column A. I'll expand it. And over here, we're going to start writing names. So I'm going to pick from the bottom. We have Vivek as one of the students. We have King Singh as one of the students. And we have Adarsh as one of the students. Cool. So I hope, this is fine. Right. So now I want to talk about these specific cells in particular. So the first cell that we used, what is the name of this cell? The name of this cell can be identified very easily. So you guys will notice that there are numbers on the left hand side and there are letters on the top. So this is how we identify rows and columns respectively. So each number denotes the number of the row. So you have row 1, row 2, row 3 and row 4. And each letter identifies a column. So you have column A, column B, column C, column D and etc. Right? So each cell has a unique ID with a unique row number and a column number, right? So let's pick any random cell. So I picked this random cell. So we can easily identify what the, basically the ID of this cell is. Well, we know that it's a K, right? But it's kind of difficult to look at what a row it is. So what you can do is just go to the right column and see what the thing is. It's K4. Now if I select another random one, this is H17, this is Adarsh is on A4, King Singh is A3, Vivek is A2, right? So these identifications, IDs, right, are very useful when you want to reference certain cells, like how I use, sorry. And we will see how to reference these. Okay, so for now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create my first top table and I'm going to color this. Now you can very easily do this using tables and it kind of makes it easy also, but I like having my specific colors and this is how I'm going to do it. Cool, great. So this is the name of my students. Now we are going to enter the subjects. So they're going to be writing exams for English. They're going to be writing exams for math. and they're going to be writing exam for Hindi, or what should we pick? Let's say science. You guys are in 8th standard and you guys still doing science. Okay, so these are going to be the marks. So marks for English, marks for math, and marks for science. You don't need to write these marks. I'm just writing them here so that it's easier for any newcomers that come in. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and expand these columns so my things are visible. So marks for maths, for English, and marks for science. Great. Okay, so now I'm going to enter these marks. So let's say it's out of 100. So Vivek earned 88, King got 79, others got 20, because others is not that great at English, just assuming. And let's say Vivek is the all-star, so he gets a 99. King Singh is doing okay, so he gets a 65. And others is pretty good at maths, so let's say he got 100. And in science, Vivek is not that great. He's not really into science, but he likes physics, so he gets around 70. And King Singh is pretty good at it, but it's a tough exam, so he gets 78. And others again gets 76. Cool. So these are the marks. Now, as a teacher, I want to know, if there are 3 students in my class, what is the total each student has earned? Because they have only 3 subjects. So they want to get marks out of 300, right? Because each subject is going to be 100. So what I'm going to do is total marks earned. Okay. And over here, I have a very simple technique to write how they got the mark. Okay. So I'm just going to use a formula over here. So I'm just going to write equal to, and I'm going to write sum. So this is how you start formulas. You write equal to, and then you write whatever you want. So I want to sum these things up. So I will write equal to sum, then I will open parentheses. These are the brackets, and I'm going to mention these cells, because that's how I will basically, calculate them. So we have 88, that is B2. So I'm going to write over here B2, then I'm going to write plus, then, no need of plus, B2 colon, we're going to do D2. Okay, so what is happening over here is that I am mentioning from which cell to which cell I want the sum to be calculated. Okay, so that's how I've written equal to sum B2 is to D2. So from B2 to D2, it will take all the values and it will add them up. And if you do an enter, you will see that it's 257, right? So that is the total mark this person has earned out of 300, which is pretty good. And now we will do the same for King and Singh, but we'll do a different method. We'll be using equal to sum over here, and we'll be using parentheses. We won't be using sum. What we will do is we will just directly write these cells. So let's say this B3, one second. Yeah, so you need to write equal to, then you need to mention the cell names. We'll be adding B3 to C3, then we'll be adding D3. So this is another way of summing things up, right? So we are taking these cells individually and we are adding them up. So his total is 222. Now, what you've noticed here is that the method we use is different. We use the sum aggregator over here, and over here we have added them individually, right? Or what you can do is you can just add them up on a calculator and do it, which is a lot of tedious task, but you don't want to do that, right? So you would rather avoid doing that. So what you can do another way is just, instead of looking at the numbers, you can just select them and then do a plus, select this, do a plus, and then select this. Make sure you do a controlled select, okay? Otherwise you'll be selecting singularly. And I press enter, and it will calculate the total marks earned also. So this is how you can do, add up things in different ways. Now I want to show you something magical in Excel. In Excel, right, if you've added up something like this, right, and you want to make sure that all the other things also get added up, instead of doing it manually, you can just click over here, and you see the small square over here, just pull it down, right? And once you pull it down, you will see the magic that it will automatically calculate the marks for everyone else also. So over here, total marks earned for King Singh is calculated, and for Adarsh is also calculated. Now, how does this happen? So Excel is pretty smart tool. What it does is it basically sees what kind of calculation you've done on what kind of row and what kind of columns, and it will try to replicate those on the next set of column and rows. So it saw that we did it for B2, C2, D2, and over here it basically thought that we wanted for B3, C3, D3. And it was right, we wanted it that way. So this is how you can go ahead and calculate the total marks earned. Now you can do the same thing for each subject wise. So we can see total marks earned in a subject. So this can be a class wise thing, like your teacher might just want to see for each class how they have earned. Now this is how did I do this? So I just clicked on this, clicked on format painter, and clicked on another cell. So it just copied the format. So over here we're just going to calculate the marks for each subject. So over here I'm just going to write equal to sum, and I'll just select this and I'll drag the selection down and I'll close the parenthesis. So for each subject we have earned these many marks. Okay, and the total marks earned in the class. Okay, so here we are calculating for the class wise total marks earned by the class by the student. Okay, cool. So now we have the total marks earned by the students, and we have total marks earned by individual students. Okay, we can go ahead and color these in a lighter color so that we can differentiate these. Yeah, so see, these are the summations. Cool. Now we can do the same thing again by doing it for different things. So let's say you want to calculate the average, right? So for how much did Vivek earn in average? So we can do that also. Just write equal to AVE, and then you'll find the formula over here, which comes down as suggestion. We're going to press enter, and or just type average, and then mention these and close the parenthesis and enter. So this is the average mark Vivek has earned, and I can just pull this down and we will find the average everyone else has earned. So King Singh has earned 74 as average, and Adarsh has earned 65 as average. Now I can keep on pulling this down. Over here it will calculate the average of all of these things, but we don't want an average of those things, right? We just want an average of the students. You cannot calculate the average of the total marks. So now there's one more thing I want to do. I want to basically do an average over here also. So I'm just going to write average for each subject earned for each subject. So in our class, that is class A, the average for English was 62, and average for math was 88, and average for science was 74. So this is how we find it out, right? Now, cool. So now we want to calculate the percentage each student has earned. So I'm going to write the maximum mark allowed, max mark allowed. That is going to be 300. Now, how will we calculate the percentage this particular student has earned? Now you have to think of it in basic math terms, right? So how we do that is basically we take the total marks that the student has earned divided by the total marks allowed, and we multiply that into 100. So we can go ahead and do that over here. So I'm just going to write equal to, because this is how we start all our formulations. And I'm going to take this cell E2 divided by, I've included the backslash, max mark allowed, and I'm going to include parenthesis. Okay, one second. And I'm going to multiply this into 100. Okay, so press enter, and you can see that the percentage that this student has earned is 85. That's the percentage, and we can just pull this down, but you will see that this will not work. Why? Because it's coming divided by 0. Why did this error happen? This error happened because we are using the same formula over here, and you will see that the G3 bar is 0. There's no value over here. And again, same with G4 bar also. That's why this pulling down will not work in certain cases. Now we can make it work. We can just take this 300 and pull it down, right? So this way these will also work. But we don't want to do that, right? What we want to do is we want to basically do this without pulling it down. How do we do that? So in that manner, what we can do is we can make one of these cells static. What do I mean by static? I just mean that when I pull this down, it remains over here and these things go down. So let me show you how it works out. So E2 divided by G2, right? So over here, I'm going to make this particular cell static. So I'm going to add a dollar symbol and a dollar symbol over here. So I'm making the column static and the row static. So when that happens, your cell does not move. Now if you pull it down, you will see the magic happening, right? So this is how it works. So basically what we did was we made sure that this particular cell was static. It wasn't moving. Generally, when we did, the pulling down thing, you can see that all the cells move down. But if we change the value over here by making this static, one cell static, then we can keep it static when we pull it down also. I hope this was clear for you. If you guys didn't understand, let me know in the chat. Sash is asking for a PDF link to registration page. The moderator will leave it for you, chat moderator. So don't worry about it. Okay. So we can just name it as percentage, and you can see that it's automatically being colored, and we can just go to general numbers, and we can make this as percentage, right? So you can see that it has appeared as percentage. And you can even use the percentage formula if you guys want. There's a formula for that also. All right. Cool. So this is for a class. Now, what else can we do for a class? We want to see what is the maximum mark earned in the class and what is the minimum mark earned in the class. So let's say max mark for each subject. So how do I calculate that? I just write equal to max, and I just mentioned this the pool. Like I want to mention from B2 to B4, find the maximum number. So it will find 88 was the maximum mark. For math, the maximum mark was, let's just pull this over here. For math, the maximum mark was 100 and max mark for science was 78. Now, it may seem like it is a bit too much like to do for just 3 people, right? And just this data, you can just look at it and do it. But imagine when you have a class of 60 people or 70 people, then it becomes very difficult to do it. Whereas just, you just calculate these things and it becomes a lot more easier. So again, I'm going to use the format painter and I'm going to paint these cells accordingly. Great. So we've calculated for, all the class average, class percentage, and blah, 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 blah. We've done this for a class. Cool. Now, what else can we do over here for students? Let me think about it, because actually I want to explain the retail stats also, but I want to do a little bit more because I feel like we can do a little bit more over here. We did the percentage, we calculated the average. We're going to probability, it will be a lot. What we can do is we can check out the conditional highlighting over here. So for conditional highlighting, what we're going to do is, what we're basically doing here is we can color certain things if, we want it in certain way. So let's take the case of Vivek. So let's take the case of Vivek, and let's try to find out where did he go wrong? Like in which subject did he score the lowest? So generally we can just figure it out by looking at it, right? 70 is the lowest one, or we can use the minimum mark thing, right? We can just add which is the minimum mark he scored. But what if we just want to look at it visually? So we can have something called conditional highlighting, right? So we can highlight cell based on rules. So if it is lesser than a certain value, so let's say that we want to check in all of these students who scored below 50, because we want to fail them. So we're going to use this highlight cell rules. So we're going to highlight those that have been lesser than 60. So I want to make sure that this is 50. So you can see that it automatically highlights 20 over here. So let's say that we want to find out all the students who have scored less than 70 because they are not performing as well as we thought. And we press OK. Now you guys can see that two numbers have been highlighted. That is marks for math. King Singh has performed only 65, which is okay, but it's still lesser than 70. And Adarsh has performed 20 in English. So there is something very wrong, and we need to help Adarsh out to get better marks in future, right? So this makes it really easy. Now we can do this again. We can use conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and go to greater than. And now we want to see who performed the best. So over here, I will put above 90, right? So I want to see who performed the best. And I'm going to do this green, okay? So that we can differentiate it. And I'm going to press OK over here. And you guys can see two people have performed exceptionally well. That is Vivek and Adarsh, 99 and 100. And there's one more magic trick that I want to show you guys. That over here, if I replace this with 95, you can see that it automatically got highlighted. This is the magic of Excel. I like to call it the magic of Excel. This is something we saw when we were pulling it down. And this is something we saw when we were changing the numbers. So let's say that Adarsh actually did not get, that number, what he got previously. He actually got 95 in science also. So he's doing pretty well except for English, right? So we changed the mark and now we know that Adarsh is doing pretty well as a student, but he's just going wrong in English. Cool. So this is how it helps us out. Now there's one more interesting thing we can do. We can just remove the highlighting. We can go ahead and click on this box and we can clear the highlighting. And I'm going to add another type of highlighting, color scales. So this gives us a variation of how this is going on. So you guys, if I do a green, yellow, red, right? So this will show us the scale directly. Instead of highlighting a certain way, we can highlight it according from ascending to descending, like from the lowest to highest. So the lowest gets the red mark and the highest gets the green mark. So you can see from pretty far away how a person is doing. So if you just look at Vivek's score, it is light green, pretty green, and yellow. That's fine. King Singh is doing the worst out of all the students because, his isn't that great. And we can go ahead and put that conditional highlighting over here also. And we can use a different tone if you guys want. Yeah. So we can see, okay, let's reverse this. Yeah. So you can see the average that is being calculated. Cool. So I hope this is clear and how this can be useful for you guys. All right. So that is the classroom scenario that I wanted to cover for you guys. So that will help you get a better understanding of how to use Excel. Okay. If you guys have any doubts or if you think we can do anything more, please go ahead and let me know in the chat so that I can try and implement it over here. So it helps you guys understand it even better. Okay. Now I'm going to be looking at the chat. And till then, you guys can give me any suggestions you want. Okay, let me know how we can improve this. And I will be checking for the questions and see if you guys have any questions that you want to ask. Yeah, so King Singh is said it in a pretty good way. When I say static, when we make some cell static, we're just making it fixed. We are putting it in that one place and we are fixing it there with super glue. And when we fix it with super glue, it's not going to move at all. Now, there is something really interesting about this is called absolute referencing. We will be talking about it when we're doing the retail stats because there we'll be looking at what this funda that we did over here and in even more detail. Cool. So that way you guys understand. So RS is saying, please upload this video. Don't worry about that. This video will be uploaded later so that you can watch it and, do it at your own pace and time. And if you guys want, we have a course also on Excel on GLA that you guys can go ahead and check out and that will help you out a lot. Okay, so let me know if you guys have any suggestions to how we can improve this. Since I'm not seeing any more things, I've already answered most of the questions you guys may have had. I'm just going to move on to a retail stats. So I'm going to explain another scenario over here. In retail stats, we are going to take the example of Diwali, right? So Diwali is an Indian festival for any of those people who are not from India. It's a festival we celebrate for Lord Ram coming back. Anyways, that's not important. What is important over here is me telling you guys what happens right over here. So let's say you are a shop. Let me say I am Ram's sweet shop. I sell sweets basically. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna color this. and I'm going to increase the size of this, and I'm going to take 3 cells, or I'm going to take these first 3 cells, and instead of expanding the column, I'm just going to be merging the cells. So I'm going to select all these 3 cells. I'm going to come up over here and I'm going to click on merge and center. Okay. So once I do that, you will see that all the 3 cells are now Ram's Sweet Shop, and we can resize A if you want. And this is basically used in certain scenarios, like if you want to join something, create titles and whatnot. Okay. And now we're going to be talking about products. So first, let's say that I sell gulab jamun. If you guys don't know what this is, I feel sad for you, and I think you should Google it out and just buy it. Okay, when you get a chance. Gulab jamuns are amazing. And one more thing I like are not pura. I like peta. Yeah. So I'm selling peta, and I'm selling gulab jamun. Sweets. Actual price. Discount offered. Price to the customer. Okay, so now let's say that there's a Diwali festival going on. I'll just merge all of these. And yeah, and there is like a festival going on, and I want to give people a discount. So I want to calculate the current price I have. So let's say it's going to be 100 rupees, and peta is going to be 70 rupees per kilo. This is going to be per kilo. Okay, and the discount I'm offering is 10% on gulab jamun, and peta I'm offering 20%, because I'm very generous about peta and it's easier to make. So how will we calculate the price to the customers? It's pretty easy. So you just write equal to, and what we'll do is we'll take this value and we will multiply it into the offer, discount offered, right? And we will subtract all of this. Sorry. Yeah. B3 minus, okay. So what we're doing is we're taking the actual price and we're calculating a discount, and we are subtracting the discount from the actual price. So the actual price to the customer is 90. Now I'm just going to pull this down, and we're going to get the actual price to the customer becomes 56, right? And loss, I can calculate loss also over here. So the loss over here will be just, equal to actual price minus price to the customer. So this is the loss I'm facing for my festivities. But then I will see a non-tangible increase, that is maybe in marketing and all that. Now we don't need to go into that, but I just want to calculate my loss. So I've written loss also over here. Great. So we calculated all of these things. Now I'm just going to take these things and I'm going to give them currency. And I want specific currency. So I'm just going to go ahead and check for rupees. Should be INR. Yes, INR. Okay. So I made them INR. So we know the pricing, right? Cool. Now I will also do a conditional highlighting over here. Let's say my loss is, if I change this, now if you guys will see something, if I change the discount over here to make it 50%, it will automatically change all the values, right? And over here I see the loss is 35 rupees. Now I can go ahead and do conditional highlighting over here. That is, let's say if it is greater, or if it is greater than 20 rupees, I don't like it. Okay. Whoa. Why did it not highlight? All right, so I'll leave that. All right, so this is the loss we're facing. Now, I don't like this and I want to implement a new system where I give discounts to people based on days. So I'm not giving them discount for the full 2 days the festival is going to be. The festival is going to be 2 days. And I don't want to give them this kind of discount for the full 2 days, right? But I still want my marketing. I still want people to like my products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new discount system. So I'm just going to write over here discount and discount offered. I'm going to create another table over here. Basically, I'm just going to pull this down over here and I'm going to write over here day 1 and I'm going to write over here day 2 and I'm going to write over here. Yeah, that's it. 2 days, right? And let's say that the discount I offer on day 1 is 10% and 50%, right? Because on day 1, I can take the loss, but on day 2, I cannot take the loss. So over here, I will reduce the percent. Day 2 will be 5 and this will be 20%. Okay. Let's say we keep this as 10. 10 is good. And I'm going to shift these values down because I want to save for which products. So I'm just going to take these two. I'm going to paste them. Okay. So over here, format, paint these. All right. So we are offering this kind of discount on day 1 and day 2. Now I want to calculate the price to the customer on these days. Okay. So we're just going to remove this column. We don't need it because we are given the new discount system. So I'm just going to leave this empty. I'm actually going to delete this. So I'm just right click on it, delete. I'm going to shift the rows, shift cells left. I'm going to click on OK. Cool. Okay, that will mess it up. So we'll just leave this blank for now. Actually, you know what? Let's do that only. I'm going to rewrite these. I'm going to rewrite the formula anyway. So I'm just going to delete these. Yeah, cool. So now we want to calculate the price to the customer. This is the actual price and this is the discount that is being offered. So the price to the customer on day 1. Okay. And I'm just going to copy this over here. So this will have day 2. You see the magic? It really, I like the Excel magic. Day 1 and day 2. Okay. Let's remove these formulas because these are confusing. Okay, so how do we calculate? Again, equal to, we will mention the actual value, actual price minus the actual price divided by the discount, multiply into the discount. And I'm going to press enter. So on day 1, my price is going to be 90. Because it's calculated that way. So if you click on the cell, you can see that use these 2 cells. Now I cannot expand this like this because if I do that, you will see I get a weird price and it's using the price on customer day 1 as the actual price, which is not true, right? So we want to make sure that this field is static and it goes to day 2 instead of, let me explain it better, guys. So over here, you guys can see that the cells that it has chosen is C3 and C14. Now, C14 is okay with me because I want it to be C14, but I don't want it to be C3. I want it to remain B3. So I can do it manually, but I don't want to do that manually. What I will do is I will just go ahead and make this column, this cell static. So what I can do is I can use I can use dollar symbols. So dollar symbols will make it static. Okay. Now, if we calculate it, you can see that even on price day 2, the price is same because this has remained static. Great. Now I can go ahead and expand this down, but we will see that there's something wrong because it's using the actual price of product 1, that is gulab jamun, and we don't want that, right? Now this is correct that it is using, the bottom bar over here, but this is not correct that it's using the actual price. So there is something we need to change over here. What we can change over here is we can just leave the column as dollar static. We can let the row be not static. Okay, and let's see what happens then. If we pull it down, and if I click on this, you can see that it shows the next cell in the same column because we made the column static, but the row is not static. So it went down, and this won't have a problem over here because our column is static, right? So again, it's let the column be static. And since you're moving to the side only, that means that you cannot choose another column. And if we move down, that is okay. And we go here and we can see it's calculated the correct amount. Again, the B column is static and the row is being allowed to move. Since the B column is static, it can either go up or it can either go down. So that is what we want. And this one, we can leave it as it is because it's working perfectly fine. Cool. So we've calculated the price on day 1 and price on day 2. Now the loss also, let me just go ahead and get the total loss. B3 minus C3 plus, I'm just going to do a quick solve for this. D3. So this is the total loss I'm facing. Now the total loss for the P is still pretty high, but I'm fine with it. Cool. So this is how you would, use it in a lot more advanced way. And I will explain the absolute referencing just once more because I know it's a little confusing for you guys. Remember, when you have a certain value and you want to use the Excel magic where you drag and drop, where you drag a certain formula onto another cell, you want similar kind of formula to be transferred, but you want to change something in that. So on price to the customer on day 1, right? So it was perfect. We had the actual price and we had the day 1 discount. Now, when we transferred it over here, it chose this as the next cell to use, right? We did not want it to go to column C. So we made column B as static. Now that column B was static, it could not move left or right. And the C column, the next value could move left and right. And that is what we want. That is fine because it's going from day 1 to day 2, right? But over here for this particular peta, right? When we went down, we also wanted the column to remain the same, right? Otherwise, we would have had another value that we would not want. So it's able to go up and down and it's able to move left and right over here and even up and down. So this is totally fine. Cool. So this is how your absolute referencing works and you can use it in any way you want and make sure that you get the correct value. Cool. So I hope you guys got it and I hope this session was interesting and wonderful for you guys. Let me check the chat. What do you guys have to say? All right, so I don't have anything new. Cool. So guys, that was it for this session. I hope you guys really enjoyed it and I enjoyed talking to you guys about it. And it was a lot of fun teaching you. Excel is really an amazing tool. Well, it doesn't matter what kind of background you are from. And it's always interesting to look at new things. I want to tell you an interesting fact that there is a possibility you can even do PhD in Excel. It is that big. It has that many things you can do, right? And there are a lot more advanced things that you guys will learn once you start using it. Now, I've given you just the basics of it. And if you guys want, we will do a lot more advanced version of this in future if you guys want. Cool. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Ram. And again, don't forget to visit Great Learning Academy because you're going to find a lot of free courses over there that you guys will probably like.